Like to welcome everybody to the March 17, 2022 Claims Committee agenda, the Cranston City Council. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Council Vice President Ferry, Councilwoman Renzulli,
Present.
Councilwoman Jermaine, Councilwoman Riley,
Present.
Councilman Donegan, Council President Paplaskas.
Present.
At this time, I will. Is there any public comment?
I'm glad you asked.
Name and address for the record,
Yeah.
sir.
Bob Strom, 90 Wayside Drive, Cranston. Recently moved there. So, thank you. I just want to say it's been a pleasure having Gianna representing claims and doing a fabulous job. She keeps me posted and up to date of various claims that have been approved through executive session by you, by the committee. And I feel that she's more than capable to continue this function going forward in the next few years. And so I just want to give my support to her and what she's accomplished and what she's going to do as the head of claims going forward. And on that note, make sure you don't give her any trouble, because I'll be back from Florida and I will approach this group. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to be heard, either on Zoom or in public?
See no public comment?
At this time, I'll close public comment. I'll entertain a motion to approve of the meeting minutes from the last year.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
At this time, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session pursuant to, I don't have the law on this agenda here, so I'd like to pass this to Council President for the language. Thank you.
Does anybody remember the statute off top of their head? Do we need it, Attorney Videcchia?
Now, let's just say 42-46-1 et sequitur. That's the Open Meetings Act.
There we go. Also,
-46-1 et sequitur, ET-SEQITUR, meaning and everything that follows.
I'll entertain a motion pursuant to 42-46-1 et sequitur, the exception to the Open Meetings Act.
second, I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
And at this time, we're in executive session. A motion to come out of executive. Just came out of executive session. There were votes taken. And I will entertain a motion to seal the minutes of the executive session.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I will entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor? All opposed? We are adjourned.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I would like to call the Public Works Committee meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilwoman Marino,
Present.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Present.
Councilwoman Vargas, Councilman Riley,
Present.
Councilman Campiano,
Present.
Council Vice President Ferry, Council President Paplaskas.
Present. Madam Clerk, do we have a quorum? I believe we do. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the prior minutes in their approval.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the minutes? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. At this point, I will open up the floor for public hearing on any matters before us on the docket this evening. If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand. Again, this is for the Public Works Committee. Tom, do you see anybody on Zoom with their hand up?
I see no public comment.
Are there any public comment from anyone? I see none. At this point, I will close public hearings. Moving on to new matters before the committee. We have trash and littering in the city and any ordinances on the books and how it is enforced. This is a request from Councilwoman Germain to either Director Mason or Director Moretti. If we can get an update on trash and littering in the city. I know this was a topic that we had discussed at the full council meeting and we continued till now. And Councilmember Germain, if you have anything to add, of course, it's your item.
Thank you, Council President. So as we discussed this at the last meeting, and we understand the challenge to enforce littering. So we did not have all the answers, and that's why it was continued for today. So I'm listening to know how we can together find a way to not only enforce, but make our city a better place.
Director, the floor is yours.
Ken Mason, Director of Public Works. There are a series of ordinances starting with section 8.16 in the city code of ordinances, and everything from depositing debris, waste and debris on streets, littering, sweeping into gutters, littering, merchants' duty to keep sidewalks free of litter, litter thrown by persons in vehicles, litter in lakes and fountains, and they're all online. The enforcement for these are handled by the police department. Just on a personal basis, Public Works, we get phone calls all the time for people that dump large items out on the city streets. For whatever reason, Lippert Avenue, Burlingame Road, We must pick up 15 tires a week on that road. If you go to Wellington Avenue, we're picking up stray furniture, but we get phone calls every other day for pieces of debris, either in the road, usually large, not litter so much, but larger debris. Public Works goes out and picks all those up, and we deposit those at the resource recovery.
May I? My question, how we can detail the resident not doing it? Because like I saw it and you come, you pick it up and then it's happened again. There is no consequences. So how we can detail them?
Well, we do have a Clean City Coordinator that will go out to an individual residence that puts out a couch or a table or something that the resident is not aware that they need to call Waste Management for a bulk pickup. And this gentleman probably writes a dozen letters a week to the property owners stating that they have to coordinate that with Waste Management. Sometimes it takes a week or two to actually get out. So it can look ugly for a couple of weeks until it gets done. And if it doesn't get done, we have the opportunity to go through inspections and have them site the house. We can go and clean it up and put a lien on the property if it's that bad. So there are avenues to go by, but it takes time for that to happen. So.
Thank you, Director. While you talk about the poverty as well, I know you talk about inspection, so probably that will go to inspection. Also, it's the enforcement problem because I saw so many properties that really in bad shape, trash, mountain, piles of debris on the yard, and those are not valued for other neighbors. So that's the value, the property around. So how we can, I know we think people are free to do whatever they want with their property. We don't want to refrain their freedom, but at the same time, when we want our neighborhood to be clean and beautiful, so how we can work together to make sure, in my word, I have 2 streets every time I goes by, and I feel like, oh my God, to see so many things in the back, right in front of the street. So how we can address that? Is that goes to inspections?
Yeah, that would be covered under the Building Inspections Department, and Building Inspections has, I believe, 2 minimum housing personnel that if they get a complaint, they will go to a particular property. And their first avenue is to try to talk to the property or the resident to try to get them to clean it up. And they might give them a warning. But if subsequent inspections see that it's not getting any better or if it's getting any worse, then they can take them to municipal court. Again, that's a long drawn out affair usually. It takes several months for that to happen. But I know the minimum housing, I believe they have 2 inspectors. I think in the past they've asked for an additional inspector for the heavy load of work that they have. I don't know if they're going to ask for it again this year though.
Probably we will ask the inspection to come in because I have some complaints about those kind of situations. And actually I have a neighbors that came to me that we talk about a project of beautifications. And I say, yes, we can work on that because when I want, here we talk about clean, safe neighborhood. And when you have those property next to your house and you feel like you're hopeless and you cannot do anything about it, Now we need the city to help us, as a resident. You want your next door look beautiful as well. And some of them do not have the, resources to do it. That's where we're going to look for how we can help if someone does not have the resources, but at the same time, the enforcement has to be active. So I think probably we can refer that one to inspection. I don't know if the administration can look up, we can have inspection, how they do that, how we can work with them to make sure that happens.
Director Moretti, do you have anything to add on this topic, or how we can get inspections to be a little, I already know they're proactive, but anything we can do to help them in the quest to stop the littering and other issues across the city that we have a challenge every day?
The council member actually came across the biggest pet peeve, the mayor, every single day. There's not a day that goes by that it doesn't bother him. I think he calls it, you've heard of this, the broken window syndrome, where one thing happens and it just kind of continues in the neighborhoods. He totally supports what the councilwoman is saying. He is out there individually himself. Macaulay is out there with him. Anytime there's any observed violations, certainly they're after the property owners. Director Macaulay has been out with Director Paulino giving copies of the city ordinance pertaining to graffiti, passing them out, going to businesses themselves, hand delivering them, making people aware of it. The mayor has directed 2 individuals within building maintenance to paint over the graffiti or sandblast, remove graffiti. The mayor's a pain in the neck about any potential blight in the city in a complimentary fashion. What I mean, a pain in the neck. It's difficult. It's society. It's our neighbors doing what's the right thing for the city. But if there's, and this is so sincere, if there's one person every single day that's not complaining about seeing something in the city that needs to be fixed, whether it be a private residence or whether it be a business or whether it be a city property, he is over it as best he could with the resources we have. And I think, as we all know, inspections is a sore subject in the sense of not having a lot of resources to be proactive, to be able to go up and down the streets. Certainly, we respond to every single report of any blight of any fashion. But other than hiring more individuals, I got to say, in terms of the attentiveness of Mayor Hopkins, I don't know what else we possibly can do. It's daily. It's more than daily. And he's out there. You could talk to Macaulay. The fact that the governor was in, as you know, Councilwoman, yesterday, and one of the stops was across Town Press. Coincidentally, the day before, Mr. Macaulay was out at Crosstown Press with a property that he owns next door with the ordinance about graffiti. And so a good friend, if you will, of the administration of the city, an employer for 45 years at Crosstown Press, we asked him if he could remove the graffiti. Within that day, he went to Durfee's Hardware, he was saying yesterday, picked up a brush, paint, and he took care of the issue. So those are just examples, but we have 2 people dedicated, pretty much dedicated unless they get called out, with building maintenance as our graffiti patrol. And there's all the highway people, I shouldn't say all, but just about all the highway people are informed to notify building maintenance if they see, I'll say, graffiti or broken windows in the city, so we can help address that. Those are some of the things we're doing, which I'm not sure if they were done before, but the mayor completely agrees with what you're saying.
I appreciate that. But I have one problem is do we wait until someone make a complaint? Not everybody has time. People may think, oh, I want to call and to make a complaint. So do we have, I know you just talked about the resources. So is that the problem, to have the inspection, go out, look at those properties that has pile of trash in their backyard? And if a neighbor doesn't call, because some neighbors, they are like, they don't want, they think if they call, they're gonna put their neighbors in trouble. But our work as the government, we go there. So do we have a mechanism to go, not waiting when someone calls us to go to inspect?
I think some of that is the council members. They're more than welcome to let us know should you folks individually see a problem. Macaulay's all over it. I have to say that. As anyone in the administration, if we see it, so we're not necessarily waiting for people or neighbors to call. I'll say some of the city administration folks and Director Mason has picked up on some areas as he proactively will address, as he spoke about some of the litter and the debris on those various areas that he spoke about. So those aren't necessarily neighbors complaining or calling. Those are things we are doing. It's society, and hopefully if we remove the graffiti quickly and we ask the businesses and the residences, if we notice if there's problems, we will have them cited, certainly. If there are any code violations, minimum housing code violations. But in terms of a greater program would probably require resources. I know that Councilwoman Renzulli has an idea of a 311 system, whereas that could possibly be incorporated into the reporting more anonymously, systematically, to kind of your point, I think. I know she's putting some effort into investigating the potential of a 311 system, whereas if there's those neighborly type things are found throughout the city, they can be called in and addressed directly, into the Constituent Affairs Department.
Before, I have one more question. In terms of, I know there is a $200 fee for littering, and for property owner, how much it is? Is the same amount, or
For what, please? I'm sorry.
for property owner, for the owners who violate, how much the fee is?
I don't know. I'm not sure if it is 200. Mr. Mason just mentioned $200.
$200,
Mr.
this is
Mason
the same?
confirmed.
Okay, so do we have a report, how many people who've been, violated, and we collect this money? Do we have a report for that?
Not sure if it's readily available. Believe it not to be readily available, that information hasn't been tracked historically, more prospectively.
So I would love if we can have some report on that.
If it's reasonably readily attainable, we'd be happy to do so, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you, council member. So we'll leave this item on for one more month on the agenda. So if we do have that report, we can certainly discuss that next month.
Thank you, Council President.
You're welcome. Moving on to Village Ave and Eden Park sign update. Director, I believe Eden Park was an ordinance sponsored by Councilwoman Germain, and the Village Avenue sign ordinance was an ordinance that I had put in.
Both sites, the Eden Park signs for the one-way around the Eden Park School was completed yesterday. And also the Village Avenue no parking signs were also completed yesterday. They do need to be adjusted though, but those two projects have been completed.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you
very
so much, Director.
Thank you, Director. Moving on to the next bullet point item we have. These.
Excuse me.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Councilwoman.
Director, Smith, I want to say thank you for the work on West Street. Yesterday, Dr. Moretti, we talked about it, right? And that was really wonderful to see how we cross really peacefully. Thank you for the work.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, council member. Moving on to the next bullet point item, we have status of debris cleanup at Yardworks. This is sponsored by Councilwoman Marino. I don't know if we want to refer this to Director Mason or to the solicitor. Councilwoman?
whoever is better suited to address it. We received emails dating back in January, and I received them again recently, inquiring as to the status of the cleanup. There were some photos that were distributed by people who live in the area showing, large amounts of debris in different spots, which were potentially problematic, and I'm just checking on the status. Thanks.
That issue, we'll say, is ongoing. I believe Director, Mr. McCauley had a conversation with Councilwoman this afternoon. But I know I was with the mayor and Piva was with us. I forgot if McCauley was with us at the time. We had gone down to Yardworks to observe that debris. And frankly, it was reported, actually, Mr. Rodeo was with us. And to witness what we could. We didn't see much at the location. Because we were actually asked to remove ourselves from the property, and we had to comply. But we went to another vantage point. We did see some debris. We asked inspections to get back to us. Frankly, has not been satisfied to what we believe can be done. So it's an issue. It's back. The administration is not pleased with it, and it's back with inspections to take a look. And I know Mr. McCauley has some special investigation work he'd like to do to address that. But no, it's not to the administration's satisfaction. We're continuing to pursue that.
Perhaps I should put this on the agenda for next month to see where it stands. Because I understand the frustration, as I'm sure the administration does, of the people that live in that area. And, while we don't want to be overly burdensome to businesses, they also need to be responsible neighbors as well. And that is a reasonable thing to do. So at some point, if friendly visits or friendly phone calls to the business doesn't ensure cooperation, then we need to utilize our inspections department to actually go there, give formal notice and follow up on that and take appropriate action with, the cooperation of our municipal court if it's necessary.
Disappointingly, in our opinion, I believe your opinion as well, inspections did not see any findings they thought was finable or addressable. We don't think so. So that's why we're re-challenging inspections and certainly agree with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Thank you, director. We'll keep this on the docket, Madam Clerk, for next month's Public Works Committee meeting. Moving on to the last bullet point item on the agenda this evening for Public Works. We have an Edgewood Playground, bench toys, playground conditions, the Commercial Street Playground conditions, and recent littering. This was added to the agenda by Councilwoman Vargas. Councilwoman, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. So I've received a few phone calls and messages. I'll start off with Commercial Street Playground. And I got a few text messages as well here. And I really had all intentions to actually print them out and hand them over to my colleague here on the council and to the administration, but I can definitely forward them over. There's nails sticking out of a piece of wood out of where one of the toys is on. It's about maybe a good 2 inches out on Commercial Street. And there's cracked sidewalk or I guess a path walk leading to all the toys on that field as well. And then there's a trash can that's been pretty much overflowing as well. And then the other thing that I understand that we as a city have no control, but it's really of trying to work together in one way, shape, or form. There's a lot of folks now dumping old toys, just stuffed toys, maybe 2-year-old, 3-year-old toddler type of toys in our playgrounds. It's happening over at Edgewood Playground. It's happening at Commercial Street Playground as well. And so that's, if we can give that a look, in terms of making sure, I want to make sure that the safety, that we don't have these screws, these nails sticking out, that we have the pathway, the sidewalk within the inside of the actual playground. It's broken. I'd hate for a child or anyone, if you will, to fall. And it's also a liability on our end as a city as well. But definitely my top concern is definitely the safety of those that are there. So that's the commercial street playground. If we can take a look at that recent littering as well. And then as far as Edgewood Playground, I did reach out to Director Tisaglia, and this was a while back, and I know that he sent me just an email, but pretty much in Edgewood Playground, there is a toy, it's almost like a tube slide, and it's broken. And again, it's one of those things that now as the weather is getting nicer, spring's a week away or so, right? That we, again, don't have a child getting hurt. And that's a playground that's at a school site. So it's used every day. And I brought this up to the attention, to Public Works attention back in maybe November or so, October, by one of the parents there. There's also the playground itself, the ground, it's not concrete. It's almost like if it was, it's not sure if it's like that rubberish kind of a field. Yeah, and it has there's areas where it has a hole. It's actually like cut. It's really worn down. That if you're walking, you assume it's leveled, but you step in and you can like ditch right in. And I think that was supposed to be replaced at some point and fixed. And I know due to the weather, that might be a little bit of concern, but I just want to make sure that it's not an oversight on any one of our end, and we can take a look at that as well. And lastly, is there's the bench there as well, that I was told that it was being replaced, or at least the bench has like 4 pieces of wood to make the actual bench, and one of the long pieces is actually broken. So I didn't take a picture of that, but the director is very well aware of. So I just want to kind of get a sense as to where we are on that. And I know some things were probably backed-order. I understand supply chain, but again, just trying to get a sense to make sure we don't lose focus on those items that are desperately in need by your children and families that are using those playgrounds.
Director Tasalia gave me an update today so I could share with you relative to the commercial playground. As to a litter issue, I guess he says it's under constant maintenance, and the, I guess, Parks and Rec picks up trash 3 or 4 times a week from that facility. He'll be, I guess, on the special lookout, but they address it, it sounds like almost every day, weekday, and they'll continue to monitor it. He did mention that playground will be receiving some, I guess, the wood mulch fibers for the surface that I believe you're referring to.
Sorry, commercial?
Commercial. This is commercial, yeah. Timing would be, again, we're just coming out of winter, and some of these issues planned on being addressed and certainly worthy of being reviewed. But he's estimating that to be done about towards the end of the month, within a couple of weeks. And what else did he say? I'll be sure to, in fact, I'm sure he'll get out there tomorrow regarding any immediate safety issues. I'll share that with him. And that's what he reported there. But I know Ray, he'll be out there tomorrow once I mentioned it to him.
As a matter of fact, I can't recall whether we only had 1 trash barrel over at least on commercial. Can we just, and I can take a ride tomorrow as well. Can we just double check? I mean, if there's only 1 trash barrel and it's overflowing, is there a possibility of adding a second one on there as well? Just because it's obviously overflowing all on to the ground and so forth on there. And then as far as Edgewood Playground, if pictures need to be taken, but I'm just wondering did we end up ordering those items?
The report on Edgewood is, he says, building maintenance was informed about the bench issue in particular in December, And he said that they were still waiting for material to replace that bench. And he says, now I believe the materials are in. He says weather has been an issue, and probably within the next week or two, should be resolved. So apparently the supplies are in to get it done. Just want to make sure building maintenance was aware. Let me say, what else did he have to say? As to the broken toy, he says it requires, I guess it requires some epoxy mix, and requires warm weather to repair it. But they can't do it in the colder weather. It won't work. And
Yeah, because it was cracked, so that's the only concern on it. So I'm wondering, I mean, do we put something up for kids not to use it in case someone gets hurt? I'm just curious.
I'll look at it. If it's at a point where it's unsafe, we'll temporarily condemn it, until we're able to resolve it. So I'll have them look at the immediate safety concerns. If it's dangerous, we will do something. I'm not sure what, but we will do something.
All right,
So,
definitely
to
the screws
prevent it.
and the big nails. I mean, I wanted to pull them out, but I also wanted to make sure that I first told the city about it, just in case, right? Because they're long screws and I don't have a problem just grabbing them, but it's also,
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that because there's ropes around, it's almost like a ocean marine type of theme to it. So as there has those ropes around it, there's screws coming out and big nails. So that should definitely be
Okay.
looked into as soon as
Yep.
possible. Thank you.
He'll be there tomorrow. And yeah, if the safety issues are too pervasive, we'll shut it down until we're able to, the weather to clear, and then to have their materials, whatever they need to do. But I believe things should change over the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Renzulli, did you have something to
I
add?
just wanted to ask Councilwoman Vargas something. Councilwoman Vargas, the material for the grounds at, where is it, Edgewood, is that rubber? Is it almost like the track with the little rubber pellets?
Yeah, it's almost like a black type of kind of mat. Exactly, almost like a mat, full mat. Yeah.
Director Marty, do you know if they're going to replace that entire thing, or is that going to move to the wood chips as well?
I know that Director Desai is looking at all the fields to do all the plastic resin. It's quite expensive, capital budgets. He's assessing what needs, it's going to be a priority. Not all are going to be done at once. So he's just developing that assessment as we speak. The alternative is to increase the amount of mulch. He's also looking at that. So as we're preparing this budget, that's what we're trying to consider.
Thank you, council members. I see no other items on the agenda. I just want to thank Director Mason. Director Mason, is this your last Public Works Committee meeting? Well, on behalf of the entire city council, certainly sad to see you go. It's been an honor to work with you. Snowstorms, hurricanes, floods, the LED lighting project that you did my first term, and certainly you've been very responsive to all of us, and you always have an answer and ready to go when we call. So certainly wish you well in retirement, and certainly going to miss you, and thank you for everything. All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the Public Works meeting.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I see none. The Public Works Committee is adjourned. Thank you.
Take a 5-minute break and then come back. Because it says at 6:30. think we're ready to call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everybody to the March 17, 2022 meeting of the Ordinance Committee of the Cranston City Council. Oh, sorry. I'd like to welcome everyone to the March 17, 2022 committee meeting, the Ordinance Committee meeting of the Cranston City Council. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Council Vice President Ferry, Councilwoman Vargas,
Present.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Present?
Councilman Campiano,
Present.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Present.
Councilman Riley,
Present.
Council President Paplaskas.
Present.
I'll entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes and approve the prior meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
At this time, we have some committee business matters carried over. That would be ordinance 10-21-03, revenue and finance, contracts and purchases, sponsored by Councilwoman Vargas, Marino, Donegan, and Council Vice President Ferry, which was continued to tonight. And I will hand this over to Councilwoman Vargas.
Thank you, Chairman. On the ordinance that we have before us this evening, I have a few amendments. It's an amendment to actually remove some language for this evening. What I'd like to do is remove some of the amendments on here on this document tonight, on the ordinance night, and then continue it for next month. So this way, once I remove the amendments that are noted on here at the next ordinance meeting, which would be in April, it's actually a clean copy, and then we can discuss it then, as opposed to having any vote this evening on this ordinance for the time being. Great. If you have the ordinance handy, what I like to do for time being, if possible, is if you go on to page 3, which is actually line 135, I'll start off there. The sentence that starts with upon completion of so-called predicate study, I'd like to put in a motion to amend and remove line 135, starting with the sentence upon completion, all the way through line 141, where the sentence ends with section terminates. Then on line 156, which is 3.08094 advisory commission, I'd like to remove line 156 all the way down through 175. So it's pretty much the advisory commission. So it ends in the sentence ending with the wording administer this program. And those would be my, yep. Sorry, then the other one, I apologize, was right above the advisory commission. It's actually line 149, where it starts with the sentence upon completion of the so-called predicate study, all the way to the end of that line 155, where it ends and section terminates. So that's my motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Thank you, yes, Chair. So yeah, so if I can have a motion to continue this next ordinance committee meeting scheduled in April.
Motion to continue to next meeting in April.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
This time I'd like to open the meeting up for public hearing for any matters on the docket. If there is anyone from the public that would like to be heard on these matters, either in public or on Zoom, you can just raise your hand on Zoom, or if you'd like to be heard here in chambers, you can make a line at the podium and you'll be heard. Is anyone in the audience tonight like to be heard?
Chair, just a point of information. I think we're going to be continuing agenda item 2-22-02. So if there's anyone here for public comment for that, we don't have to take that this evening.
Thank you. Is there anyone in chambers that would like to be heard on any matters before the committee tonight? Name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Steve Fries. I live at 107 Garden Hills Drive. Frias, F-R-I-A-S. Okay. I'll be brief. You'll be hearing from Mr. Lima and Mr. Jack Boney and the rest of the staff. But I just want to, what I've seen so far of the work product, I would just want to compliment them on what they've done. I was chairman of the Charter Review Commission that dealt with the provision that prohibited gerrymandering at the local ward levels. And wanted to say is that the commission and the staff did a good faith and great job of complying with that charter amendment and making sure that we have ward lines. From what I can see, based on history, based on neighborhoods, we are following neighborhood lines, we are following natural boundaries. And we have avoided the problem that occurs in many states by both parties and in this state at the state level, gerrymandering. So I want to compliment them on how they did it. And what they did here was a process that should be followed by the state and could be a model for other communities. Not only was it apolitical and done correctly, it was also cost effective. They did it all in-house, as you probably saw in the report, saved us probably almost $100,000 between avoiding a consultant, avoiding having pocket precincts. This was great work done by that staff on those issues. And it's a credit to them. They put in all the hours to get it done. And I think that this council should approve, as you'll hear from Mr. Lima and Mr. Jack Boney. I think this council should approve it. It is a great work product, much better than what occurred 10 years ago, which I was involved in a tangential way, where it was a lot of nonsense going on about where the lines were being drawn. So thank you for listening to me, and have a nice evening.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Anyone else in chambers like to be heard? Yeah, that'll be fine.
Well, good evening, members of the council and the ordinance committee. Nick Lima, the registrar director of elections for the canvassing authority and the redistricting coordinator. You have that was emailed to the council administration, published on the city website about 16 days ago, the final report of the Cranston Redistricting Commission that was approved by the commission on March 1st, which completed approximately 1 year's worth of work by the commission to produce the maps that are on the table here tonight in council chambers, but in particular scenario A3. There is a resolution to the General Assembly that's proposed for the council to pass to ask the General Assembly to codify the ultimate redistricting ordinance in state law. I'd just like to point out, just for the record, on the ordinance itself, there's a couple of scrivener's errors. On line 481, the word "of" should be inserted in the ordinance. So that it reads, results in the creation of 6 wards. And on line 518, the word "section 3, the ordinance shall take effect upon its final adoption" should be struck. It's duplicative. It actually says that a little bit earlier in the ordinance. So I just want to note that for the record. That said, as I just mentioned, the report has been out there now for a couple of weeks. We've received public comment and feedback on this particular map going back to September, where myself and Maria Giarusso, the GIS manager, who are the staff that have been supporting the commission, are here tonight to answer any questions that the council has on this map or the process that was followed. But that said, before continuing, I'd like to turn it over to the chair of the Redistricting Commission to formally present the report, and that's Randy Jackvoni.
Randall Jackvoni, 2219 Phoenix Avenue. And thank you, Nick, for that introduction. I just want to briefly say, if it wasn't for Nick Lima and Maria Giarusso, we wouldn't have had as smooth this process as we've had. I think it's important that the council knows that this really was the best process in the state of Rhode Island. While we were finishing a year's worth of work, other cities and towns were just starting. So we are way ahead of the curve. So the product you see in front of you is a product of the hard work of the staff. And I think it's important to stress a few things. One, we did, again, follow those neighborhood maps and natural features. We smoothed over what we felt were some previous foibles, I'll say, of the old map. Some might consider gerrymandering, but we made those wards, I think, much more logical to natural features and neighborhoods. And of course, we also tried to limit the pocket precincts, meaning we tried to eliminate the smaller precincts as much as possible, but some of that is limited by what the state provides. But we have what's in front of you. Obviously, if you have any questions, I'm here. The staff is here to answer those questions, but I think that you can be confident that we not only followed the mission that the charter gives us, but that this council gave us to come up with a great map for the city of Cranston for the next 10 years. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in chambers that would like to be heard? Is there anyone on Zoom that would like to be heard?
No public comment?
At this time, I'll close public comment. And before us, we have ordinance 3-22-01S relating to the ward boundaries, and that is sponsored by Council President Paplaskas. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Council President?
Yeah, I just want to thank the canvassing board, Ms. Giarusso, and our canvassing director, Registrar Lima. I know you guys started this process, all of you, a long time ago, when other cities and towns really delayed and waited to the last minute to do it. The map that's in front of us looks clean, follows natural boundaries, meets all the requirements, eliminated pocket precincts. So I will be in support of it tonight. Just want to thank all your hard work. I know it's not easy. You waited for census data. I know the census data came late. And just want to thank Director Lima for the 100-page report that we got that rivals most budget books. So certainly appreciate it, and great work by all. So that's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Any further comments? Councilwoman Vargas.
Thank you. I'm going to echo the comments that the council president just pretty much just said. Just want to thank Nick Lima, the staff, Maria. The fact that we have someone on staff with the GIS background as well was instrumental. I think the money that we saved there as a city was just, that in itself was just huge. So again, thank you to the both of you and your entire staff as well. I'm just curious, quick question. Was there anyone that called against any of the lines? Okay, thank you. But again, it's very straight cut, very straightforward, and I really appreciate the process. I know it's not easy. I'm hearing from cities and towns across the state as well that they're still looking at it and they're going through the same process we are. So I appreciate it. So thank you once again.
Any other discussion? Yes, Councilwoman Jermaine.
Thank you, Chair. I promote him, sorry. Do tell him I thank you so much. And I want to stress that how transparent you are. And when you invite us at the process to come and see, to share our input with you. And the clean product you presented, I commend you and your staff. Thank you. So it's a little bittersweet because I lost some of my neighborhoods. So I have to say it, I feel a little bit sad, but I know the other neighborhood they will love me too, right? So I'm very hopeful they will love me. But the neighborhood I lost to Ward 3, it's a beautiful neighborhood. People are so compassionate. So, they love me, I have to say. So now I know I'm gonna make my new neighborhood love me too. So I'm not complaining because it's clean. You see the professionalism. It was like a maze when I saw it. I didn't know anything about map before. But when I run and when I'm looking at this like going like this, I was like, oh, what is this? So now you can see and clean, professional. Thank you. So I would say to my the neighborhood stadium, so I will miss you. So, but I am happy for the product. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any further discussion? No, I would just like to also commend Mr. Lima, Mr. Jack Boney, their staff, Mr. Russo. It was such a pleasant process to go through with you. You called us in, you took the bull by the horns. We didn't call, ask you questions. You were already there. You had the foresight to start this process when you did. And I can't commend you enough. It was one of the most efficient and well-run systems I've seen. You did an amazing job. I think to you and your staff, you should all be proud. Thank you so much. With that, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
And now moving on to the resolution memorializing the General Assembly to enact the City of Cranston's 2022 Water Districting Plan into law. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Very well done, Ms. Lima. Thank you so much, and Mr. Jack Boney. And then we have the final report of the redistricting committee for informational purposes only. That can be viewed on the docket on the website. And that being the last item, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Hold on 1 second, Matt.
The ordinance 22202.
We do have one more matter before the committee, ordinance 2-22-02, and I will entertain a motion to continue.
Second. Sorry.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
And now I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?